Hello, my name is ENTP Memes Daily, at least on Instagram. That's not really actually my real name. And I'm always getting asked the same questions on Instagram, especially regarding MBTI relationships. Oh, how is this type gonna do with that type? Is that type compatible with this type? Blah blah blah. You know what I mean. So I figured, you know what, instead of always answering the same questions, I would just make a YouTube video about it and then answer the questions there. So yeah, let's go. Today we will start with the INTP and ENTP relationship. And as an ENTP that has a lot of experiences with INTPs, I think I can give some insights on that. So basically, first off, they're super underrated as a pairing. And the reason is, like you always hear about ENTP, INFJ, or INTJ, or ENFP and INTJ, or ENTJ and INFP, and ENFJ and INTP, and whatever. Like these are like the golden pairs. But what people don't understand is that these are only called the golden pairs because they would be like the ideal matching, given that both types would actually be very stereotypical to their types, plus they are the golden type for growth and not necessarily actually for compatibility, but also for friendship or other things. They are the golden types for growth. That's what people don't understand, or at least don't know. So ENTP and INFJ can teach each other a lot, but that doesn't mean that they will actually work out long term. So that's just something that I wanted to point out, and that's why you don't hear about the INTP and ENTP relationship a lot, because there's not much growth going on in that relationship. I mean, of course, there's always growth going on in every relationship, but given or based on the theory, there wouldn't be as much going on as in, for example, an ENTP and INFJ relationship, or INTP and ENFJ, or whatever. But what people oversee is that these types, INTP and ENTP, are actually super similar. So they will naturally click. When I meet an INTP, I usually always click. Same for ENTPs or other types that are so similar. So that's what people tend to oversee, and friendships can develop very fast between these two types. It doesn't mean that they will always develop, doesn't mean they will always last. Why do I even have to say this? But that's just like, because they're so similar, they will naturally understand each other. So they also have very similar needs. For example, when I had something longer term going on with an INFJ, bro, I couldn't fucking figure her out. She was so different than me. Also, it's very similar in a lot of aspects, but like in a lot of aspects, core aspects, super different than me. I couldn't figure it out. But when hanging out with INTPs, I don't have to think about anything, of that sort, because we have the same needs. Anyway, so it's like, it comes very natural. So that's another thing that I would point out about that relationship. It's a very natural thing that occurs. They usually just click. There's not much having to figure out the other one, because they're just that similar. That's a huge strength, especially if you just want a chill relationship and don't want to think a lot, don't want to have a lot going on, and just, want a partner where you can just feel comfortable with for some time and don't have anything crazy going on. This was like a really good relationship to be in, because you're so similar, because you don't have to talk for hours to figure out each other's differences and what they meant in that sentence. With INTPs and ENTPs, that never really happens. At least from my experiences, it never really happened. It just works, it just flows naturally. So that's something that is being overlooked a lot. Of course, both types aren't really emotional people. There are exceptions, but compared to any feeler type or even some thinker types, these are like people who just in general don't feel emotions that much, and are not being comfortable with their emotions. At least we're talking about younger people here, because most of the MBTI community is quite young, like 14 to 28, I would say. That's like the core community. Of course, someone who's 50 has a lot more life experiences and confidence and knows themselves much better, knows what to expect from other people. We're talking about younger people here. So both these types will not be super comfortable in their emotions. So when they actually start developing some feelings for each other, it's gonna be weird, like really weird. And for them both, especially if it's the first relationship, if it's the first time feeling something for someone else, like strongly, this can be really weird, and that's not necessarily as an ugly weird or bad weird, just like weird. It's gonna be uncomfortable. So yeah, that is that. So what are these types usually gonna do? Well, from my experience at least, these are not like the people that are doing a lot of physical activities, maybe except for the bedroom, but like they will not plan a 2-week hike tour through Eastern Europe, that kind of stuff. That's not what they're gonna do. Like usually INTPs feel the most safe and most comfortable at home, from what I know. Like it's super hard to get my INTPs friends out of their room. Maybe okay, into the kitchen. But that's like it. If they don't have to go anywhere, they will not. So, but that's also very similar with ENTPs. I mean, okay, they usually feel more comfortable going outside and, being social if they're a little bit older. But like, I think a lot of ENTPs are also just naturally staying at home a lot. When I compare it, for example, to an ESFJ friend that I had back when I was living in Portugal, she was outside all the time. After work, like I came home, I chilled and worked on something else, and every now and then, maybe every week, I would go out once or every 2 weeks. But she was out every single evening. She just had to. And when she was at home, she was calling with other people, like calling with her friends here or with their friends there, or making an appointment that, or calling with their family. Super social, super much going on outside of their home. That's both like for both ENTPs and INTPs not that common, and that's also why they will fit together very nicely. Because if you have for example, ESFJ like that, or ESFP, or maybe also ENFPs, if they are healthy, then they will drag out the INTP or ENTP a lot of their home, and if they're not feeling comfortable with that, that's going to lead to a lot of tensions. But I don't see that here in INTP and ENTP. So I think that's pretty chill. I think that's very chill. A very chill relationship. A lot of fun. I think that's something that I didn't mention yet. That's going to be so much fun, because both types are like, since they understand each other and won't get offended by their usually dark, humorous jokes, or like really edgy jokes, or just abstract jokes that make no sense to anybody else on the planet. Like, yes, that's the kind of shit that they're both into. Like, if you would just listen to 1 hour or just 1 minute of me talking with my INTP or ENTP friends, I think you would lose hope in humanity. It's so stupid on so many levels, but it feels so good. And I think that's something that both INTPs and ENTPs can give to each other, because both are naturally just very weird. Which is super cool. I love that. I think they will have a lot of great time together at home. Playing video games. All INTPs I know are playing video games. Not a single one does not. It's insane. And it's very similar for ENTPs. So if they find some games where they can play together at home, that can also like be some kind of relationship bonding. Yeah. Is there anything else? I think INTP will like catch feelings first, but like try to make very subtle signs. That's the way I see it. And ENTP will be so oblivious to it that either like they never come together because ENTP just doesn't get it, or well, at some point they might get together. Or ENTP is throwing signs and INTP realizes it, but is too uncomfortable doing something in response. I think that's what I would see playing out a lot. So that can be super awkward, but also super cute. Yeah, is there anything else? I think that's it. I think that's really it. Like, all that I could say for this relationship. So yeah, if you have any questions for it or want me to do a part 2 or whatever, then, or if any other pairings that you want to hear about, then yeah, let me know, and peace, have a nice day.